G'day guys, welcome back to another episode. Today I'm going to show you how to tie 3 of the simplest knots you are ever going to tie. They're the only 3 knots you are ever going to need while fishing. So let's get straight into it. Alright, so the first knot I want to show you to tie is the Uni Knot. Now the Uni Knot is used to tie any terminal tackle. You can use it to tie hooks, swivels, lures, or any type of tackle to your line. Alright, so how to tie a Uni Knot. You have your tag end or any type of end of your braided line, monofilament leader, all that sort of stuff. You feed the line straight through the eye of the hook. Give yourself plenty of tags, especially when you're brand new to tying this knot. It is a lot easier with a lot more line. Create from your double line here, you create a loop. So I grab the tag end, come back towards the start, I create a loop. Now I have a loop over the 2 lines, and then all I have to do is roll that line over the 2 lines right there. Now, depending on what length of leader you have and how strong your leader is will depend on how many wraps you need to do. Now, for example, if it's 6 to 8 pound leader, you might have to do 7, 8 wraps. And 30 to 40 pound leader, you have to do 4 to 5 wraps. So that really depends on your level of leader. Once you've done your wraps, you obviously pull your tag in nice and tight all the way down to the bottom. And there is your Uni Knot. So the next knot I'm going to teach you to tie is the loop knot. The loop knot is specifically used by me for all of my lures and all of the purposes that I use my lures. I use it to tie my soft plastics just to give it a bit of extra action. I also use it to tie my hard bodies and my surface lures as well. So all the lures that I use, I tie a loop knot mainly because it has a little bit more action. So to tie a loop knot, you have your leader. What you want to do is create one granny knot. So put the line over on top of each other, one wrap, and just pull it tight. Not all the way. You don't want it to go all the way. You want to leave a loop of about a 50-cent piece there with some tag on the end there. Okay. Now, again, we're going to use the swivel as our exemplar. Okay. So pretend this is a jig head, a hard body lure, a split ring for a surface lure, all that sorts of stuff. Okay. So with your tag end, you're going to pass tag end into the head of the lure. Once you have it attached, what you are going to do is make sure that your loop is big enough. Okay, so once you have pulled your tag in, then you are going to do one wrap at the bottom part of this loop now. 1, 2. Now we have a wrap above and below. Now the top part is where we started. That's where we did our first loop. And then we went through the eye of our lure. And then the bottom wrap here is what we have done after. So once we have those both secured, what we are then going to do is wrap our tag line around our main leader line. I generally will do this 3 to 4 times for any type of leader. Maybe I might do an extra wrap if it is a lot lighter leader and one less if it's less. But I generally do 3 to 4 wraps before I then grab my tag end. So I've got my nice wraps here. I've done my top and bottom there. All I need to do is put it back through the hole and pull it nice and tight. And once I start pulling it tight, it will cinch into place. And there we have our loop knot. As you can see, there is a loop there. You see how that loop will freely be able to move around. But if a fish is on it, there is no give there at all. Okay. If you find with some of your loop knots, a few people might say the loop knots can often break very easily. I find that with my loop knots, they don't break as often anymore because I do a couple more wraps right at the end before I tie it back into the hole. A few of those things I find that with a loop knot is because we're not wrapping it enough not wrapping it enough around our main line. We find that it pops off quite a lot. So that's why I always make sure I do 3 to 4 wraps before I put it back through our hole there. So as you can see, loop knot, very easy to do. My number 1 rated knot to tie your leader to your lures, to just give that extra bit of action. It is so worthwhile to be able to do, and I've caught plenty of fish with it. So the last one I'm going to show you how to tie is a Paternoster rig. So first things what I like to do is tie a Uni Knot to my swivel, for the top end. Then I would cut my main line to suit my desired length. Let's pretend I've cut it at about there, which is about 50 centimeters, enough room for me to have 2 hooks plus a sinker down here. So the Paternoster rig is mainly used for dropping down baits deep. So dropping in 30 or more meters of water where often there might be a few pickers around reef or around sand. Okay, people will often use this so the pickers might eat away at one bait and therefore the snapper, whiting, flathead, any of the sorts of fish that you might target in those deeper waters still have another bait down there. So to tie your Paternoster rig, what I now do is use my tag end here. What I'm doing is I'm meeting my fresh piece of leader here with my main line, which is often will be a leader. Then what I want to do is connect them together, and then I want to create a loop with these 2 lines. Create a big loop like that with these 2 lines, like so, and then I'm going to wrap them together. 1, 2. Generally, I will do this 3 to 4 times for our Paternoster rigs. So 3, and that is all I need to do. Now I'll pull it nice and tight. And as you can see here, both the blue line, which is our main line, and our leader line, which is our yellow line here, are intertwined and woven together nice and neatly. Then we would cut our leader line to suit the hook. So now we have a Paternoster rig here with 1 looper or dropper ready to go. All we need to do is tie a hook to that. Now we just do the same to the other end. So now we have a fresh piece of leader, roughly about 20-25 centimeters long, that we are going to tie to our main line just here. So now we're going down towards the sinker and pretending that there will be a sinker tied to the bottom there. We don't want it too low that when this line is swinging around, it's swinging around and hitting the floor. We want it a little bit higher, but we don't want it too high so it tangles up with this one here. So again, double over the line, but this time I'm going from the bottom end. The first hook, I go to the top end and I loop around. This time I'm going to loop from the bottom end. It's going to make my circle, double them over, then I'm going to wrap it 3 times. Remember, if you've got a lighter leader, you can do more. 2, 3. Pull both ends nice and tight. Now we have a beautifully intertwined loop right there. All we need to do is trim off our tag ends for both ends here. Now we have our 2 leaders there that will have hooks attached to them. So, and we'll eventually have 2 baits. We have our swivel up the top end, then down the bottom end we'll have our sinker. Now what I do for my sinkers is I normally tie a really big loop knot, or I can just tie a uni knot straight to my sinker down the bottom here.